The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
As we hit the month of May, not only is the weather starting to warm up, but the racing in the Bootleg Outlaw Modified Series, it's also heating up. We've seen 3 winners in the first 5 races of the second season of 2017. Tonight, well, we find ourselves in a home state of the Lawrence Towing here in Indiana, just west of Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Raceway. Good evening. I'm Chris Scala, the short track expert. Sean Ambrose joining me, also Joe Peak taking care of us behind the scenes, Dougie Beard on the cameras. We have seen some fantastic racing this season with the Bootleg Racing League, and last week it was no different. For the first time ever, the Outlaws attacked the Bull Ring in Las Vegas. Ernie Brown started on the pole. Matt LaVenture led most of the laps, but the man who has dominated the year of 2017 came to life, and how weird this might sound, after a 4-race winless streak, J.R. Shepard made the pass on LaVenture with 7 laps to go to win at the Bull Ring, his second win of the season, as he joins Matt Hoos as a multi-time winner this season. As you see him celebrating there in Victory Lane. Now, Sean Ambrose, as I mentioned, joining me here. It's a tricky track here. Lucas Oil Raceway, formerly known as Indianapolis Raceway Park, and if you were pretty much born before the year 2000, that's what you call this track. But it is Lucas Oil Raceway. It's a 0.686 mile oval, multiple degrees of banking from the bottom to the top, multiple groove racing. Talk about this very fun and racer-friendly track.
This complex is located in Brownsburg, Indiana, technically, okay? As you said, 0.686 miles makes it rather unique, and officially, I think, the longest track on this circuit here for the Bootleg Racing League. Now, it's actually been around since the mid-50s, Chris. The entire facility, they've got a drag strip there, 2.5-mile road course that's no longer in use. But the Lucas Oil Raceway, very, very fast. You're going to see the SK Modified at its best this evening. It's going to be wide open down these rather much longer straightaways than we're used to seeing week in and week out. And the turns are nice and sweeping, and you've got a little bit of banking here to work with. We're going to get a chance to stretch our legs. I mean, you're going to get around this track in just a little over 20 seconds. It's over half a mile that we're covering in just about 20 seconds. So pretty staggering indeed. Let's hop on board the GSRC SK Modified for a trip around Lucas Oil Raceway at Indianapolis Race Park.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around the Lucas Oil Raceway and the GSRC SK Mod. So without further ado, here we go. Lucas Oil is a fun little 0.7 of a mile speedway that's very unique. For the hot lap, you're going to see guys floated in right here, but then you're going to want to cut it down and try to drive as straight off of this corner as possible. Aim for that Kroger sign on the wall, make sure you don't hit it. Same here down in 3 and 4. Enter in real high, kind of float it right down here to the bottom and try to put the power down straight off. Now for the race, you're going to see everybody pretty much move up to this top seam, right up here in turn 1, right up near against the wall, half throttle, back into it, really easing in because you don't want to shove the nose of the SK Mod out into that fence. 3 and 4, same thing. You might see guys floating a little high and then kind of like qualified, maybe cut it down just a hair to try to get the greatest run that they can off of that corner across the line. And that is going to complete our track guide here around the Lucas Oil Raceway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
And that there's a very fun lap around the Lucas Oil Raceway. And coming up here in a few minutes, we'll be talking to John Hain, who is a new member for the Bootleg Racing League. He's out there getting some laps right now on this track. As you're taking a look right now at the drag strip, home of the U.S. Nationals. That's around Labor Day weekend right there at the Lucas Oil Raceway. It's a very fun racetrack to be a part of. Now, Sean, let's jump ahead to the point standings going into this weekend. Now, last week, J.R. Shepard, he won the race last week, I should say, at the Bull Ring. And this point battle was pretty tight between 3.
Yeah, it really is. Now, JR, of course, is up there in the lead with 67 points. You know what? Matt LaVenture, all he needs to do is really, he's got to win a race, Chris. He's got to win a race. LaVenture up to second, 6 points behind. Matt Hoos now has fallen a little bit down, but still only 12 points out. And we've got some really good racing ahead of us. So Matt certainly not out of it. Donnie Moore actually moves into that 4th spot as Lowell Jewell falls out of the top 5. The bad result last week brings Philip Temples up 2 spots into 5th, 25 points behind, only 2 behind Donnie Moore. Donnie's got to get a little bit of an improvement going here so we can stay in this top 5 run.
Yeah, Temple's the winner of Martinsville just 2 weeks ago, starting to gain some momentum there as he tries to propel himself up into this championship race. As we have the new guy, as we're going to call him, joining tonight, making his debut tonight. And John, just be prepared as your initiation. It's going to take Sean and I about 20 minutes to get your name right. John Hine?
Hi. Yep.
All right, so John Hine joins us, though. But, John, talk about your experience so far here with the Outlaws and the pressure you have tonight, as you were here last week, so you got the 1 week under your belt.
Yeah, I was actually here 2 weeks ago when we were at Martinsville last week. I'm here in St. Louis, so I was in the middle of a weather event.
Understandable.
But the pressure is kind of good because being a new guy, you want to keep your nose clean and kind of, get the trust and respect of the other drivers and make them want to race with you. So, starting fresh, that's always a little bit of pressure there.
Well, I guess we can also add some pressure on since you are from the Show Me State, so you want to be able to show these guys something, right?
Yeah, that's right. Tonight I'm going to be towards the back, so it's going to be all working towards the front and getting a better grid position for next week. If not, if something comes up and we can get up further, we're going to go for it.
So talk about how you're feeling on the track here this evening. How's the setup and any particular grooves you're finding to be faster than the other?
This is one of the one tracks where I've raced at in real life, and it's everything. The bumper going down into one, and everything else. It's true to form, and it's high, wide, and handsome here, right up against the wall.
Also, you need to help us petition to get NASCAR back here, then. Wink, wink.
Yeah, what? NASCAR made a mistake leaving here. I mean, that's a whole nother soapbox for another day, I suppose.
Good call. Yeah, I don't need to be starting any trouble. I do enough of that already when I'm on the air. So, but John, we wish you the best, man, and we hope you have a good run tonight, and we enjoy talking to you, and welcome to the Outlaw Club.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks, Lowell, and the guys over at Lawrence Towing and VirtualGrip.net for letting me come on board.
Absolutely. John Hine, they're going to start towards the back tonight. We'll be watching him in the Menards car in the 75, I believe is going to be his number. Yep. He's 6th in practice as of right now. And real quickly before we move on to the race details, I want to send a shout out, as I always do when I'm not at a race. Send a shout out to Soup, who filled in for the last couple of weeks. Did a great job with Sean. And Soup always makes us look good, Sean. I'm just putting it out there now. If it wasn't for Soup, we wouldn't be good. But anyways, race details tonight. This is what we got in front of us.
Yes, sir. The SK Modified here, not to be confused with the Whelen Tour Modified. SK a little bit down on power from the Tour Mod. Tires a little bit different, but this is a very, very fast machine. Don't make any mistake about that. It is a fixed setup, the iRacing fixed setup for IRP here. Now, we will be inverting the top 10 from last week's finish. We do that every week here in the Bootleg Racing League. We'll be doing it tonight. Everybody else outside the top 10, they get in based on their position. So the race tonight, 100 laps, 68.6 miles. We'll call it 68.
Yeah, sure.
We'll call it 68. Fast repairs, you don't get any. I'm sorry, you get one. Chris, I'm looking at it right there on screen. It says one. One fast repair. You get one. What you don't get is you don't get tires. If you come in, you can't take any tires. Those are discouraged. Incident cap. There are no incident cap in this race for the evening. And there is a race review team if needed. Double file restarts. If we should have to restart off a caution, it will be double file. I can tell you that it's obviously night outside, but it is a little partly cloudy. But some great conditions for racing today. It's time to get going here, Chris. Just a little less than 5 minutes to go.
Yep, just a few more minutes before we grid these cars up. And I should mention real quickly that interview with John Hine is brought to you by the Virtual Grip Network. Tonight's race, the Virtual Grip 100, it is a blog devoted to news from the world of iRacing at virtualgrip.net. You can stay up to date on what's happening at iRacing, keep up to date with the World Championship Series, including the Blancpain GT Series, the NASCAR Peak Anti-Free Series, and the World Championship Grand Prix Series. Again, virtualgrip.net is the website. Tonight, the Virtual Grip 100 here. It's race number 6 of the Bootleg Racing League in the Lawrence Towing Outlaw Modified Series, which, for those of you who don't know Indiana that well, Lawrence is over on the east side of Indianapolis. We're over on the west side of Indianapolis, so a home race for the big sponsors here this evening. Now, Sean, let's talk about the keys for this evening as we go into tonight. One thing I happen to catch as I go through my book that's about literally 9,000 pages long of the Bootleg Racing League stats, and I come across one interesting stat tonight that says Matt LaVenture has not won a race this year. Is that going to happen tonight?
Well, buddy, I think he needs a win. He's sitting there second in points, and I think a win would go a long way towards his effort this season to getting a championship. So, yeah, I think there's potential for that. Now, I don't see him in the field right now. That could certainly be a problem. We've got a little bit of time left, but time's running out here, Chris. And, well, if he doesn't show up, then, of course, he's not going to...
He would answer our question, I guess.
Not going to get a win, yeah. I'm kind of surprised to see him missing, though, because I didn't hear any of the guys say anything about that before. That's what caught me off guard. But certainly, if he doesn't make it, I'll tell you who I do like. I like John Holcomb, who's already got a win here this evening. Home track for John. He won in the street stocks. Had a nice battle with J.R. Shepard, who finished right in his mirror. Yeah, you know, John could be one to watch that Lawrence Towing SK Modified this evening.
So I'm assuming this is not a good time for me to tell Hoosier fans who are watching here this evening, when you pick a driver who's sponsored from Indiana, that you're picking him to win with your luck. I'm sure Bob Knight's got a chair ready to be slung at you at any minute. I'm just putting it out there right now. Number 2, which line will be fastest? Are we going to go to the bottom, or are we going to go to the Larson line up top?
I think John Hine just gave us a clue about that. He said high, wide, and handsome. That looks like that's going to be the preferred line. I think so far in practice, seeing a lot of guys run up top. And I think that's going to be a nice segue into probably what you might consider one of the last keys to the race.
Well, and if you're listening to the lap guide just a little bit ago, it did stress that high line with cutting low on the exit. So obviously you'll see potentially at work as you see Donnie Moore actually running the bottom line right now. A lot of cars on the bottom. So we'll see some multi-groove racing that makes this track really fun. Last but certainly not least, as you see, I actually brought the cheese grater tonight. And there was a reason why I have it up here in the booth with us. No, Sean, it's not to hurt you. Let's talk about the tire fall off, because we're at a track that's a cheese grater.
Yeah, it is, but you know what? If you want to run that high, wide, and handsome line, you might be able to save those tires a little bit and then dig late in this race. And when you get into a situation where you have to try and make a pass, you'll want to be able to drive it off that right rear. And if you run that car up top for a good portion of this race, you may be able to do that and pick up a position or two towards the end of this race.
There you have it. That's what's going to be coming up here very shortly. We're about a minute away from gridding them up here at Lucas Oil Raceway. We appreciate everybody coming in tonight. If you want to chat with us, as you see some drivers and others who are in here chatting, Sean Ambrose even in the room chatting a little bit. I will too if you want to ask questions, but you can feel free to chat with us on our YouTube page if you're on iRacing Live. You can obviously go over to our YouTube page too and watch us there and chat with us if you have any questions about these modified cars that run each and every Saturday night on the Global Sim Racing channel. So we're looking forward to getting this race on. Sean, what's your expectations tonight, my man? We going to see some multi-groove racing and some fun?
You know what? We are. We're going to see guys a little bit of strategy tonight. We're going to see a couple different lines of play. I don't think there's a lot of rubber on the track here to begin with, and that is going to lend to some experimentation. But hey, I got to say something real quick before we get started. Listen, race fans, get out to your local racetrack if you have one. Most everybody's seasons are getting started. There's no better way to see real down-home racing than supporting your local racetrack, and that's my PSA for for racing in America this evening, Chris.
How much did Riverhead pay for you to say that? Anyways, here we go.
I didn't even mention Riverhead now, did I?
Yeah. All right, here we go. But I do agree, though, Sean. Please, yeah, your local tracks, go check them out. But let's take a look at the starting lineup. And, look who's on the pole. Lowell Jewell. Going to start there in the pole position alongside Hardy's 00, Matt Shanowski.
Row 2, going to belong to Philip Temples in third. Mr. Tim Shanowski will start fourth.
Donnie Moore, he'll start inside of row number 3 tonight alongside Sean Ambrose's pick from the 6th position, John Holcomb.
Row 4, J.R. Shepard. Got a little work to do. Brian Barton going to start just outside of him in 8th.
Ernie Brown going to start there in the 9th position alongside him. There is John Hine going to start 10th.
And Chris, I think there may have been a few drivers out at their local track this evening. So the last 2 cars in this field are going to be Mike Holloway and Kurt Smith. So we got 12 SKs here at a pretty long track. Chris, there may not be much laundry to wash when we get done this evening.
I'm okay with that. But either way, we're going to go 100 laps here, and I believe we're only going to get 1 lap here before we go racing. Nope, we're going to get 2. Pace car did not pull off. I was trying to remember how the iRacing rules are, if it was half miles or 3/4 mile tracks. But what I'm looking at real quickly here is as you know me, I'm a guy of irony. As we watched the Kentucky Derby earlier, I'm not going to mention who won because of spoilers. I'm just staying for that, but I just want to say to you that the guy who finished first was number 5. Look who the pole sitter is.
Okay, Chris.
I'm just putting it out there.
Okay.
Anyways.
There were a bunch of nags
are you salty there, buddy?
There were
are you
a bunch
salty?
of nags in that race.
My horse finished 18th, if that makes you feel any better.
Okay. Yeah, well.
Sean is not happy, folks. Anyways, he is happy because, Sean, we do get to go racing right now. Pace car's off, my friend.
Baby, it's time to party. Let's boogie.
Here we go. Lowell's on it. Matt Shanowski, not a good jump here. The 12 cars to green as Phil Temple's new colors on the 19 tonight. Driving that bottom. Here we go. Multi-groove racing already. You see the lower line, lower banked than that top groove. The top groove is at 12 degrees of banking. Look at him fan out.
Yeah, Lowell running it off really nice through there. Ooh, Philip Temples gets a little bit of run. Almost contact there with Tim Shanowski.
He's almost in a Shanowski sandwich there. Second and third.
He's the meat.
If only Tim had a food-sponsored car, we could literally make him a sandwich. Look at J.R. Shepard back here, the 5th position, diving underneath Donnie Moore. It's actually 6th. This is going to be one tough track, but if anybody can tame that bottom line, I think J.R. Shepard's that guy. He's already moved up to Donnie Moore. He's running down there with 8, as they say. Oh, Tim Shanowski clipping the wall.
Ooh, and it was Donnie Moore all over the bumper there. Donnie looking to the inside there. Tim Shanowski heading into the turn.
Yeah, here comes that Irwin SPCA car. The 26 is looking up front. Matt Shanowski trying to get the lead from Lowell.
Lowell got a piece of the wall coming out of 4, Chris.
I don't think it's pretty hard not to get the wall here. I'm watching everybody scrape it up, it seems like here. But Matt Shanowski fighting that bottom line. He got a pretty good run off the corner. Lowell should be able to carry the momentum here at the line. Lowell leads barely one car way out of shape back there to 16. Brian Barton able to save it. As Lowell hits the wall again and Matt Shanowski goes to the lead.
Yeah, it's tough to keep running up there and be consistent every lap, every corner.
I just realized the 19 has Piggly Wiggly on its car. I don't know what to say to that.
Boink.
Well done. I got no more than that. Other than here he goes.
Phil looking at the bottom here.
The only thing I can think right now is this little piggy went wee all the way to the lead. I'm sorry, fans.
There he goes. No, he got it, Chris. He takes it.
Here comes Lowell.
Yeah,
look at Shepard. I'm sorry, now I'm just saying, contact!
Contact!
Netco contact, and Lowell Jules is spinning. Nice save and everything. There was some regular contact and then a little bit of warping as the double zero went straight through the 5. I mean, that literally, he drove through him.
Look at this on the replay here. Really weird.
Not much damage, I don't think, to either car.
Well, chalk that up to internet.
Well, I think there was actual legit contact, but it just afterwards, it was kind of interesting. But caution number 1 out, lap number 8 here, and you see your leaderboard. Philip Temple's the Martinsville winner. He is up there in the front. J.R. Shepard started back in the 7th position, already up to 2nd. Tim Shinosky, Donnie Moore, Matt Shinosky, your top 5, but Lowell Jewell, the pole sitter, now tail end Charlie on the field, unfortunately.
Yeah, Lowell was off to such a great start too, Chris, and really looked like he had that top line somewhat figured out until that one little mistake. Got a little bit too much of the wall there and started to slide back, but tough break for Lowell. He's got a lot of work to do now.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, it seemed to me during that early run, the low line actually was the faster line, it looked like. You saw JR go down there, you saw Temple, you saw a couple passes on the bottom for the lead.
I think it was faster only because we didn't see the consistency needed on top. I think you can win on the top side. I think you've got to be brutally consistent, though. I mean, really, not scuff any speed off, not bobble. You've really got to have a perfect trip around every time. Hey, listen, like any track, basically in any car, that's the risk you run when you rim ride. All right. Yep. Now, there are a lot of drivers out there who like to do it, but even the best of them wind up with a stripe on the right side of that car at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you look at tracks like Darlington. You look at tracks, Homestead comes to my mind. Even Irwindale's another track you're up there against that wall. So, I mean, you got plenty of tracks out there where you got to be careful when you ride the wall. And I should say Lowell Jewell did pit. I'm assuming he either got his damage fixed or got his car reset, because you do have that one reset for the race. We'll have to see if Lowell took that and keep an eye on him now as he tries to climb his way through the field for tonight. But 11 laps already in. It's been some pretty fun racing this season, Sean. I know I wasn't there for 2 races, but just watching the action I've seen so far and what we were there the first couple weeks, this Outlaw Modified Series, they definitely bring the best each week.
Yes, they do, and they're about to bring it hard here. I mean, again, we're talking about 12 cars. We got off to a great start there. I would not be shocked if the next flag we see is checkered. I really wouldn't. I agree. That car is peeling, the pace car peeling off now.
Yep, the Piggly Wiggly car versus the Motorcraft Quick Lane car. J.R. Shepard on the outside, Phil Temple's on the inside. They can start any time here. The space car pulled off, and there goes Temple's on the gas. He's going to get a good jump on Shepard. Donnie Moore going to stay side by side with Tim Shinosky down into turn number 1. Everybody, Donnie clipping the wall a little bit. I think Holcomb did too. I was about to say everybody's minding their P's and Q's.
Now, boy, Matt Shinosky really digging hard down there on the bottom. John Holcomb trying to get him off the turn. And it's going to be Holcomb.
Yeah, Shepard, I just watched go 2 wheels on the apron. Oh, caution.
Yeah, it looks like Brian Barden had trouble with the 6. Yeah,
that would be Kurt Smith.
Yeah, Barden and Smith hook up together.
You see it on replay here. Kurt running that high line. Barden's going to slide up there. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Give Kurt Smith a good Tony Hawk rail slide there. Get some points for that.
Those style points, right?
Hey, if you remember the old Tony Hawk games on PlayStation, you got points for doing things like that.
Right. Yeah.
You
Brian
wonder.
Just kind of comes up the track a little bit right there. Maybe he didn't know Kurt was there.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. You wonder if he thought he was clear and heard clear and came up the track, but that's unfortunately one of those deals where you got a KYS. Know your surroundings. But Kurt Smith bringing his car to pit road, and he's almost on a 3-wheeler here, so he's going to get that car fixed. You can see the lean in the car a little bit there. A caution 2 on the track. Phil Temple's continuing to lead. And we talked about this track, Sean, how they used to host the NASCAR Xfinity Series and the Truck Series here. I was actually at the last races they held at this track that year, which was 2012, if I remember correctly. And this track was definitely one of the fun ones to watch some short track racing on if you ever had a chance to go watch some racing here.
I have heard them off in the distance. I have never actually been to the track. I haven't been to Indy for racing. I've never actually made it over to IRP. I'm sorry, Lucas.
Oh, you're
Raceway. Good. It was certainly one of those things I wanted to do while I was there, but just didn't have the opportunity. Both times I've been. It's on my list. We'll get there. We'll get there.
And don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of racing at this track. I mean, you got the sprint cars still run out here when it comes to the midgets and stuff like that. They run out here. ARCA Series still runs out here and everything. And it's definitely, no matter what kind of car is on this track, it is some fantastic racing on the oval. And the seats are awesome. The prices are cheap. And not to mention the food is awesome in that area. Sorry, Joe, I had to mention food. And accordingly, apparently I just made Joe hungry. We're in Indiana. Get him a tenderloin. Tenderloin's as big as your head, literally.
A lot of history at this facility, Chris. USAC, of course, been here. The old road course was very, very popular back in the day. The likes of, I believe, Mario Andretti, a guy named Andretti raced there at one time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The pace cars pulled back off as we're getting ready to go back to racing, wrapping up the second caution. Temples and Shepard again on the front row. Tim Shinosky, Donnie Moore, and John Holcomb with that Lawrence towing car up there in the 5th position. I'm sure the guys from Lawrence are all watching tonight on the big screen.
Ooh, JR with a big move right in front of Tim Shinosky there.
Slammed the door on him. Look at Holcomb dropping to the bottom. Maybe 3 wide here into 3. Thinks better of it. Shepard going for the lead up front. He thinks better of it.
And look at this battle just behind him, man. Donnie Moore really driving it. Yeah, Tim Shinosky trying to survive up there. Is Matt just behind him.
Yeah, you got 2 Shinoskys, a Moore, and a Holcomb.
I know which one is older, by the way. I don't know if you know that story, Chris.
I don't know that story. I hear contact, though.
Yeah, that's Matt Shinosky was in the wall. Just up there grabbing a little concrete on the way by.
Another driver right behind this battle. We haven't said his name all night. Mike Holloway there in that 31. Holloway started in the 11th position, already worked his way to 7th. Almost makes contact with the 69 there of Holcomb. That was close.
John really trying to hang on to it. Him and Holloway almost locked up there. John got to be careful here. He's losing spots really really quick here. Now he's got to worry out. Got John Hahn right behind him. John looking to the inside, dipping down here in the turn.
Why do I have a feeling I'm going to have bad Hine jokes this season now? Hope I don't offend him. Oh, Clark's climbing the wall right there behind him. Ernie Brown and Kurt Smith. Meanwhile, up front, J.R. Shepard still putting pressure on Temples. How about Tim Shinosky there? Putting a good run on.
Yeah, Tim getting himself right here up to the bumper of J.R. Shepard. Yeah, you know, JR really trying to find a little speed down there on the bottom. He's cutting the turn off a lot more than Phil is, and even Tim Shinosky. He's making it work right now. He's
Mike Holloway. Sorry to cut you off, Sean. Mike Holloway up the track and falling back. Not sure what happened to the 31 if there was contact. Looks like the 00 falling back too. So I wonder, 2 plus 2 there, did these two make contact with each other? Oh, and look out! Holloway's climbing the wall.
Phil Temple's just got a piece of the wall, too. It's allowed J.R. Shepard to attack. Oh, Phil gets a great run off of turn 2, though.
Holloway taking his car behind the wall, looks like, or getting it towed or something. But Shepard, you see him cutting to the bottom. He was watching that video earlier, how to get around Lucas Oil Raceway. If you were watching our lap guide, they talked about staying high in the corner here and then dropping it down. Yes, it's less banking, but it's a straight shot off the corner. I think that would be the term diving.
Yes.
You see him edging up on Temples ever so closely.
Yeah, and he's been there right to him a couple times, and Phil seems to get back on the hammer and pull away a little bit, just like he's doing now. Oh, JR's up in the wall. He climbed it.
He knows how to win races, but JR knows how to make that car just a wee bit smaller, it seems like, too, sometimes. And maybe that's what he was doing, shortening up the car. Low aerodynamic issue there, maybe correcting it. Lower center of gravity, you know.
Yeah, I think Tim Shinosky might be fighting an ill-handling car. He just let Donnie Moore get by like it was no problem at all. Maybe he's just decided fourth spot's a better spot to sit right now, but Tim giving that spot up to Donnie pretty easy.
Yeah, Donnie having a great run so far. Donnie started fifth there, just kind of maintaining himself. I mean, needless to say, a New England driver in Indianapolis. I'm sure we've seen plenty of times where New England wins in Indianapolis. Just saying. Colts fans are going to be emailing me now.
Boy, John Hine having a nice fight with Matt Shinosky back here. That's a battle for sixth. Hine going to have it right now, but Shinosky not giving up on the bottom.
Just to clarify, Sean, I am not a New England fan.
Hey, whatever floats your boat, man. Jets, Jets.
You know, it's funny, I saw a car with Jet stickers today on a tow truck. I felt bad and thought about you.
That's really bad, man.
John Hine having some blinking issues here. Hopefully he gets that fixed.
Yeah, I hope so. But I'll tell you what, John Holcomb better watch out because Matt Shinosky's caught him. Now, not so much. Boy, John Hine blinks again there on screen.
Well, he might need to go to Menards and get some tools for his internet. Make save big money.
Oh, Matt really putting up a fight here. Yeah, you know, John just seems to get a better run down the straights. Matt makes it up here in a turn, but once we get to the straight, you see John start to pull away.
Well, Matt got him there this time. Not this time. Yeah. But that's that high groove, that higher banking. You get that run off the corner, make the track longer. Matt again using that bottom.
Yeah, John was a little hot on entry.
Oh, there was touch there. A little hip check.
John Hine getting in there.
Oh, look out. Crossover move.
Nothing has changed up front. Yeah. Don't worry, folks.
This is your battle right here, right now. Holcomb sliding up just a wee bit. Here comes Kurt Smith into the battle. So Shinosky finally clears him. Oh, Kurt climbing a wall and spinning. Oh! He nailed that inside wall, and the engine goes kaboom.
Pop. Yep. All that fighting has allowed the top four to really check out. I mean, they are 3.5 seconds up the track and running away with this thing.
Now, speaking of Indiana, Kurt Smith. Yeah, Temple's leading, but Kurt Smith from Indiana, unfortunately hitting that inside guardrail. Probably like, who put that there? Up here for the lead, Shepard taking a peek. Donnie Moore on the back bumper of Shepard. How many times have we said that line?
Yeah.
Moore looking to snap that winless streak of his.
Or stay strapped with a winless streak.
Yeah.
Sorry, I tried. I tried to pull it out of the nosedive for you, Chris.
It happens.
JR.
Just don't try the fish on a plane.
Speaking of happening, JR is really trying to make it happen now. I think it's all about putting pressure on Phil Temples, and he's starting to turn up the wick just a bit. And Phil, though, staying true to that line up there, up top. Remember
Donnie to the outside of JR.
Yeah, this is a fight.
JR made a mistake. Here comes the slider. Here comes the crossover. Yeah, Phil's doing a great job of just running his line. He's like, you know what? You want to pass me? There's plenty of space to my left. As Shepard continues on the bottom, Temple's kind of just holding on that lead. It stays about 2/10, but this is your top four, and your next set of 5 cars all about 3.5 seconds back. Actually, Matt Shinowski has put some distance on John Holcomb. It's actually about a second or so back from Matt back to John Holcomb. You see that distance there starting to spread out, so we'll have to keep an eye, because Shinowski was the fastest car last time by. Shepard going back to the bottom line.
Yeah, he's looking. Man. I'll tell you what, he's gonna make it work.
He's gonna try to slide here.
Yeah. And Donnie Moore really persistent back there too. You know what, Chris? We still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
A lot of laps to get in here.
I just peeked over and saw lap 43. It feels like we're at lap 80 already. We're just so used to these kind of races going quick when there's good racing like this. We're on a bigger track. I mean, normally these guys don't run anything bigger than what a half-mile track they were at Richmond last season. But other than that, usually these tracks are a half-mile or smaller. So tonight's actually one of the bigger tracks.
Yeah, definitely the biggest one on the schedule this season. And putting on a great race right now. John Hines still back there digging in 7th place. You know, he started 10th, turning some really, really good laps right now. I mean, he could still keep climbing the ladder here. Getting a little bit of a threat from Ernie Brown, who to this point has had a really, really quiet race. Ernie in 8th. Lowell Jewell got himself up to 9th after dropping all the way back to 12th.
Yeah, Lowell was involved in that first caution with Matt Shinowski. Unfortunately, Lowell started on the pole, lost the lead, and unfortunately lost a little bit more in that incident. Now is riding back here. Almost some contact with the 8. He's got to cross him over to the bottom on Ernie Brown. Wow, some tough racing back here. Ernie's on the apron.
Man, Ernie. Oh, and Lowell
wow.
Gets up, climbs the wall. And several cars have coming out of 4.
Something tells me Lowell's probably not too thrilled with Ernie Brown the way he kind of handled that corner. It seemed like Lowell had to swerve left and right to figure out which way to go to try to get around him.
Yeah, Lowell, well, I don't know. We'll see. Ernie did come right across the track there.
JR trying everything he can other than using the chrome horn to pass Temples. I've said this week after week, if there's one guy who will probably never, unless he had to use a chrome horn, it would be JR Shepard.
Well, you know what? I don't think his patience is going to run out. What I do think is going to run out is Phil's luck. Because that last lap, he got a piece of the wall again. Gotta guard against that, because trust me, every time you do it, Chris, that's just chipping away at whatever little bit of damage you've already caused. The next time you hit it could be the last. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to get a meatball, as they call it in iRacing, which is, for those who aren't iRacers, the meatball is that flag that tells you, hey, you got to pit because you have too much damage. And literally, it's a black flag with a reddish-orange dot in the middle that we call the meatball. You hit the wall too many times, that's what you get.
And you may think your car is handling fine, but if you don't respond to it, you will disqualify from the event.
Yeah. I mean, unless you have a nice admin who will clear it, which doesn't really happen much.
No, they won't be clearing that.
JR, caution on the track.
Yeah,
Jewell and Ernie Brown. Uh-oh. Are you just talking about how unhappy they might be? Uh-oh.
I think card exchanges at Christmas might be at risk right now.
Ernie pulls a slider on Lowell there and then hooks him.
That's tough. I can't call it. I don't want to call it, Chris.
You know me, I always call it like it is. You see Ernie sliding up in front of Lowell. Lowell tries to cross over. They just come together. I can't say Ernie came down or Lowell came up. They came together.
Well, the big winner is John Hine. He doesn't have to worry about those two spots. He was in front of that. Well, that's tough. Ernie obviously uses his fast repair, gets back out on track.
Now, every lap car is behind the wall, so we won't have a lucky dog here, Sean.
Yeah, Ernie.
Wow, there's a ride.
Obviously, Ernie was doing what he was doing, and it just gets pinched right up in there into the wall.
Apparently, Indiana driver's not having good runs tonight, as Ernie Brown, Indiana driver, involved in that wreck. Kurt Smith a few minutes ago, Indiana driver, put it in the inside wall. So basically, all the Indiana drivers are out tonight at their home track. It's the Florida driver, Phil Temples, who has led all but just a couple of laps, leading right now. J.R. Shepard, Donnie Moore, Tim Shinowski, Matt Shinowski, John Holcomb, and John Hain. Those are the guys pretty much left here. We're at lap 53, 47 to go as we've just passed halfway.
Now, I know that John Holcomb is in the Ohio club, but this is a home track for him. So Lawrence Towing being right there in the Indianapolis area. So we won't split too many hairs and be very technical about it. But so I think right now we can say that John is actually still having a great run. He's right where he started in 6th place. And let's face it, Chris, there's still going to be about 44 laps to go when we get restarted.
Well, not to mention, too, and here's another way you can argue that point, that this is John Holcomb's home track, is on iRacing, there's no Mansfield. There's Mid-Ohio, but there's no Mansfield. So when it comes to short tracks, this is your closest one to Ohio. So
there you go.
iRacing put
Good
Mansfield on there.
Good point.
Which Mansfield, by the way, now a dirt track. It used to be an oval track.
Okay, possibly.
But Eldora, I guess, could be in one too, but that's dirt.
True.
We're thinking asphalt here. But yeah, I believe Mansfield is a dirt track now. If somebody out there is watching us and can confirm that, let me know. I believe it is a dirt track. It used to be an oval track that the Truck Series ran a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I don't recall that right now. Let's see if some of our crack specialists here on the live chat can solve that one for us. Let's call it a bit of a trivia question.
Yes, trivia question. You'll win absolutely nothing, but at least you can answer us.
My admiration.
Sean might give you a free bowl of ice cream. Maybe. I don't know. He'll melt it to you. It might be melted. Here we go. Temple's on it. Shepard, Donnie Moore, Tim Shinowski, Matt Shinowski, your top 5 as they go single file to 1 and 2.
Kind of a weird restart. Donnie giving JR a bit of a shove there. It's left Donnie back in the dark here. JR and Phil seem to be off to a little bit of a run.
Yeah, Donnie Moore sitting about a half second or so back. Just a couple car lengths from J.R. Shepard, though, trying to get that run, that momentum. Sean, do you think draft is any kind of factor here with the high speeds?
Chris, not so much, maybe a little bit, but it's not significant to the point where you're going to actually be able to slingshot somebody. You know what I mean? You just run out of straightaway.
I just saw Lowell Jules still on the track there. He is a lap down, but I believe he used his reset because he's up there in the middle of the pack battling with John Hine right now. So there's Lowell Jules. And Austin Rupp on our chat, and I just actually looked it up on my phone. It is a dirt track now. Mansfield, it's a 0.44 mile dirt track.
Well, sounds like fun. Maybe be one of those tracks for the future. We'll see. But J.R. Shepard really starting to dig now, Chris.
Yeah, Shepard looking to get that lead from the pig up front. Piggly Wiggly car. And now Phil Temples, I'm not calling a pig. Let me clarify that. That would be rude. Riding on board, though, with Shepard. Putting all that pressure on him. But yeah, if you get a chance to go on YouTube and after the broadcast and check out some of the truck racing from Mansfield from about 10 years ago or so, you'll see the name Donnie Leah winning one of the wildest races I've ever seen in NASCAR history at that track.
Former Whelen Modified Tour champion Donnie Leah.
Yep, it was his only win, and I'll just point this out. It was 3 wide at the finish line.
And look at this onboard shot with J.R. Shepherd here. See what he's trying to do. He is really trying to cut the bottom of that corner off.
Donnie?
Yeah, Donnie's right there, just behind him.
You know Donnie Moore's way. He's like
Yeah.
trying to make a move anytime here. Looking to break that winless streak that goes back a few seasons now.
And we roll on. This is, I forgot. You know, we've only run this track, I think 3 times total in the entire league history. The last one being last year, 2016, season 3. J.R. Shepherd won this race. So far, does not have an answer for Philip Temples.
And Temples is doing the right thing. Just hold that line. He's keeping it off the wall for the most part, but he's kept it clean right up there in that high groove, and he's running that lane. And again, he's doing pretty much what you need to do. Tell JR, if you're going to pass me, you got the bottom. You can take it.
I think Phil was taking tips from John Hine during that interview segment.
Oh, yeah, Hine talking about how he's raced here before in the past, and that high line is the way to get around this track. And you see, look at the miles an hour here. So I'm just keeping track of that. They only fall to about 96 mile an hour and down the straightaway at about 120. So they carry a lot of speed around this track. Probably not much brake at all, if any.
Yeah, no, you're really kind of you're lifting on this here, Chris, and maybe trail braking just a little bit to set the car, but maybe not at all. Again, if you've got this dialed in, you've got a lift point, you know, and you're just rolling out of the throttle and you're gently rolling back into it.
Now, for those on iRacing, and I'm kind of going to include myself in this, because I've never been good, and I know this is a good road course term too. When you talk about trail braking and that kind of thing, try to explain that if you can a little bit to those who might be new and don't understand the term trail braking.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I fooled you too.
No. I mean, you're simply using that brake as a way to get the momentum of the wheels to slow down just enough to get the car to move, essentially, to get it to turn. It's just a combination of left foot brake and right foot throttle. It takes a lot of practice, and it doesn't work in every situation. You've got to use it where it works, and it takes a while to learn that. There's a lot of nuances to it.
And I'm one of those who has to learn that a little bit. I know I've done a lot of road racing on iRacing, and people are like, yeah, you got a trail brake in this corner, and I'm like, what's that? I mean, I know the term, but it's like, what do you mean by trail braking? I'm sitting there thinking, what do you hold the brake while going through the corner? I'm one of those, I have to let off the brake to turn into the corner because the car won't turn for me.
Yeah, and a lot of people get the car to turn by setup.
Shepherd driving it down into 3.
There he goes.
You were saying, Sean?
Yeah, I was just, a lot of times you can get a car to turn just by setup alone. This being a fixed setup, it comes down to the driver, right? You can set a car up to turn however you want it. When you've got a level playing field, fixed setup, you're going to do more work to try and get the car to turn because it's set one way, and it doesn't. It may not be in your comfort zone.
Now, a fixed setup, though, at the same time, Sean, there's different settings that you can adjust. It's a fixed setup, so everything you have is the same as the other cars. However, when it comes to steering ratio, offset, and also braking, which in the last couple seasons was added on to be edited. So those are 3 things that actually could help your car out if you adjust the right way.
Sorry, watching Phil Temples there.
Yeah.
Got a little too high wadded Hansen there. And you see him move down the track just a little bit to try and break the momentum of J.R. Shepherd. I think there's a few different schools of thought on the whole steering ratio. To be honest with you, some think it makes a big difference. Others don't. I'm one of those that thinks it does. So I'm going to go with you, and that's kind of an adjustment that can certainly help. Brake bias, shifting your brake bias. That's good. That certainly gives you a lot more control of the car. And having that available to you is something that can certainly benefit you in a long run, like we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and I agree on the steering ratio. I'll go and admit it. I run 14-1 on high bank tracks just because it does. You're using more wheel to not turn as much, and it saves your tires a little bit. That seems to help me. But we continue to watch this battle here for the lead between Phil Temples and actually the guy who won tonight's truck race. That was right before this race. J.R. Shepard won that race. And the street stock race tonight, Lawrence Towing did get themselves one win tonight with John Holcomb. He won the street stock race earlier this evening in the other two races. And we should mention also that the dirt racing is underway. And as a matter of fact, the three of us have been running the dirt. And got to say congrats to both of you, Joe behind the scenes, and Sean for getting into the race this past week at wherever we were, Volusia. And as you tell, I didn't make the race. I've already lost it in my head. But Joe Peak actually won a heat race. So that means only one of us have not won an official heat race.
I won an unofficial heat race. I'll take credit for that. Yes, and our director, Joe Peak, won a B main at Williams Grove. I did participate in my first A main, and I got to say, it's a blast.
Oh, it's a blast. So if you want to try to get involved, reach out to Lowell Jewel. They run Tuesday nights at 7:15. You can come race against us, and I just warn you in advance, stay away from me. But you can come race with us, and we're at Eldora, I think, this coming Tuesday night, which I won the first ever heat race. So I feel comfortable going back there.
They're never going to leave us alone, guys, with all this bragging, all this braggadocio.
Hey, this is our one time to shine. These guys get their moment after this race.
Well, they get 20 more laps to shine right here, Chris, because this fight is really coming out of Phil Temples and J.R. Shepard. J.R. Shepard still turning in some monster laps, but the last time around, Donnie Moore was actually the quickest car on track.
Well, J.R.'s on the bottom right now, going for the lead. He drives it down there, tries to slide up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, then he has to back off and get the car to turn. You saw that there at the end of the turn. He really had to back off just so it would turn.
That's the hardest part of a slide job to pull off, is completing the pass when that guy drives just as deep as you do into the corner, because on a slide job, you're hoping for the guy up top not to drive it as hard into the corner, so you're able to drive it in there and slide in front of him. Because either two things happen then. Either one, you two hit and you both wreck, or you do what JR did, get out of the gas and go back to where you were.
Here comes Shepard again. Another lap, another charge.
Had a question on our chat, Sean, asking about where can find those street stock races they keep talking about. Again, reach out, go to bootlegracingleague.com and reach out to Lowell Jewel. He's the guy that runs the league. You can get all the information about the street stocks that run Saturday nights at 7 before this race.
Yeah, street. That's the best way to get them is at their website. Lots of information there, archives, history. Wall of Champions they've got there. Bootleg Racing League's been around for a long time, and they've definitely had some people pass through the gates there. They'd certainly always like to take on a new member or two.
Oh, absolutely, and they're fun to race with. I've run the street stocks with them a few races, and it's just a blast. So, yeah, go sign up, please. But Temples, Shepard, Moore, Shanowski, looking back here, Matt Shanowski, he's about a second or so off of this pack. And then the rest of these cars pretty much spread out. John Holcomb there in 6th, John Hine there in 7th, and Lowell Jewel there in 8th. Those are the only ones left on the track out of the 8th there, but those three just kind of separated out. It's this pack up here in the front that's pretty much battling out. And Shepard almost throwing the bumper. Temple's come off the high line. That might hurt him.
Oh, boy. There goes JR. Tries to shoot the gap.
Almost hitting each other. He used that apron going into the corner, which is impressive. Now here's an interesting question, Sean. If you're Shepard, do you tempt or even dare to drive it higher than Temple's into the corner to try to get above him? Because, I mean, in turn 3, watch how they're entering. There's room up top.
You can try. You can try.
Let's see. Watch here. You see he leaves a good... There's room up there. Not much. But if you get that spotter, say car high, what's it going to do? Push in a wall?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I think that's JR's looking at that right now, Chris. I think he may be listening to you. He's looking to that top line to see if maybe there is a way to at least get on the outside and fight with him. But Phil making it really tough right now. The SK, the Piggly Wiggly SK Modified certainly has a very wide rear end right now.
Peter Piper did pick a pack of pickled peppers, didn't he? Anyways.
Yeah.
So, Sean, I'm asking you this question. You're a road course guy, and even Joe's a road course guy. What about the move that you see sometimes as JR's trying this move again here? Do you maybe try to do the old mirror move where you get to his left rear to try to make him look at you to say, hey, I'm here, to make him make a mistake?
I'm beginning to question whether or not Phil is actually paying much attention to the mirror. I think he knows he's back there and he's really just attacking the track a different line at a time. But I really think JR is probably going to make him more nervous here with about 5 to go. Might have to lay the bumper to him a little bit just to remind him that, hey, I'm fighting for this. But look what Donnie Moore's doing. Donnie Moore is now all of a sudden seems to look like a driver who's ready to make a move on J.R. Shepherd. So he could take both of them with one move.
You wonder if he saved his tires up a little bit, but we are at 9 laps to go here. Phil Temples has led all but just a couple of laps in this race. Lil Jewel led the first 2 or 3 laps, and then Temples took the lead and has not looked back, and he has just literally been running up front.
Oh, Tim Shinosky looking to the inside.
First one to make a move, not able to complete the pass, though. It's safe to say tonight, Phil Temples has hogged the lead.
Oh. Well, I said there may not be a lot of cautions, and, well, it looks like we really trimmed the fat this evening there, Chris.
Well done, Sean.
Man, Phil just seems to have the answer right now. I don't know exactly what the question is, but he's figured out the way a way around this track and done it in such a way that he's made it really impossible for JR to get a run.
I think it's a simple track position. What it is Shepherd looks at the bottom again here. I just think it's that clean air and that track position. Oh, Temple's coming off the high line. Shepherd trying him, and now Donnie's going to get under him. Next question is Shepherd worried enough about Donnie using the bumper?
Okay, apparently we're catching a little flack for the puns now. we've been called out.
Oh boy!
Somebody picked. Oh, Tim Shinosky almost gets the left rear of Donnie Moore and has to back way out. Loses all that momentum.
I'm confused. We've been doing this for a whole entire year, and it's the first person to say something about our puns. We must not have many viewers. Anyways, Temple's leading. Shepherd there in second, trying everything he can as we come to 2 laps to go. So Shepherd is going to have to make the move. Matt has caught his brother back there for 4th, oh, by the way. Don't leave Matt out of this picture back there in Hardy's car. Temple's almost too high into the corner.
Look at JR.
Look at JR.
Oh, they're gonna race all the way around.
Shepherd gonna try to slide it again.
Look at Phil run off the top there. Man.
Moore's gonna cross over. White flag is down. Temples is loving this now. Oh, contact!
Oh.
Shepherd in the wall.
Oh boy.
He's done. He's on his lid and everything. Phil Temples able to hold the lead, and he's on his way to a 2nd win of the season here at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Donnie Moore going to come home 2nd. Tim Shinosky on the podium. Brother Matt right behind him in 4th. John Holcomb rounding out your top 5. Man, wow. J.R. Shepherd with a really, really tough loss there.
Well, how bad of a loss? He only finished 7th.
Yeah, well, true.
He's still going to start 3rd next week.
Yeah, he is.
Worst case scenario. So I'm sure, and not to mention Matt LaVenture's not here tonight, so he's not going to lose too much points. But that's one of those deals where I think Donnie and JR are talking about right now. I'm sure Donnie's already told him, look, man, sorry. But as you see the replay here, let's see You know what? I don't know if Donnie did wrong there. I think JR was already high going into the corner and went to turn down. I don't know if we can get a bit. Yeah, here we go. Onboard view of Donnie. Watch JR here. Donnie's going to make the move to the inside here. And JR is going to kind of come down. He might have a little netcode in there too. But the fireworks
certainly, because we saw a little bit of it already this evening, and that very well could have been the case. A little bit of netcode could have come into play with that.
Yeah, we'll definitely check it out. We'll talk to the top 3 finishers as you see the fireworks going off here at Lucas Oil Raceway, and we'll come back and talk to the winner, Phil Temples, in Victory Lane next on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We saw our fair share of fireworks this evening at Lucas Oil Raceway as the Bootleg Racing League and the Lawrence Towing Outlaw Modified Series puts a wrap on race number 6 of the season. As we take a look at the final standings, Philip Temples took the lead early from Lowell Jewell and had to fight J.R. Shepard and Donnie Moore, Tim Shinowski for the rest of the way, multiple cautions and all. And Temples holds off Donnie Moore to get his second win of the season. Donnie Moore finishing second, the Shinowski brothers third and fourth. John Holcomb brings that Lawrence Towing Outlaw modified car to fifth.
Yes, sir. And sixth going to go to John Hine. Not a bad run for the newcomer. We saw him fighting there several times. J.R. Shepard, our hard luck finisher of the night, going to finish on his lid in seventh place. Lowell Jewell, eighth. Ernie Brown, ninth. Kurt Smith going to round out the top 10. And we'll just get Mike Holloway here in 11th. And Brian Pardon only got 13 laps in tonight. He'll take the 12th.
So lo and behold, that today was all about horse racing in the Kentucky Derby, and the guy we're going to talk to in Victory Lane had a pig on his car. It only makes sense, right? Phil Temples joins us in Victory Lane, Piggly Wiggly on the car, and here you are for a second time, Phil.
Yeah, that was an interesting race, a lot of fun. Nobody could get away from one another.
Were you not as fast as JR, or were you just trying to keep him at bay and just run your line and keep him behind you?
I was just trying to keep him at bay. I had a little gas left in the tank, but I'm just trying to save tires.
Well, talk about the racing out there, because we saw the bottom line. It seemed like early in the race you made the run to get the lead from Lowell on the bottom there. It seemed to work until the tires got worn, and then it was all the highlight.
Yeah, pretty much that was it. It got a real slick down on the bottom after the tires got hot. Basically, all you can do is run the top.
Well, it's still a fantastic show for you. Talk about the importance of win number 2 here. You got one just a few weeks ago at Martinsville, and now to come over here to Lucas Oil and get a win.
Oh, yeah, it's a great win. I mean, especially after the last couple of seasons I've had. And we're not really racing for points. I'm going to miss a couple here in the next month or so. So, just trying to rack up wins.
Well, you're doing a pretty good job of that right now as you got your second one of the season. Congratulations on that, and send your shout-outs to whoever you like.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys and Lowell and Matt for putting on a good league.
All right, Phil, congratulations on your second win of the season, and we'll talk next week at Five Flags.
All right, Chris, thanks a lot.
Absolutely, buddy. As Sean, I believe you got Mr. Donnie Moore.
Chris, I do. Donnie, big finish for him tonight. Maybe a little controversy. Donnie, you want to talk us through those last couple laps?
Last couple, geez. The last 100. That was wild racing. Yeah, that was so unfortunate. I just watched it a number of times, that replay, and yeah, boy, I feel terrible. Yeah, I know I had to run on him. We got into the corner. Maybe I got in there just a little too hot and slid up a little. And boy, he went for a ride. I feel terrible about that.
I think it's going to be okay, Donnie. I think you and JR will work that out. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if JR said, you know what? No, that was on me. So listen, nonetheless, it's a second place finish. You're fighting for a championship. Certainly fighting in these points here. You've got to be happy with the effort. Tell me, what do you think of this track? I know we haven't run it a lot here in the BRL. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I hadn't put down many laps at this track too, but after tonight, I love it. We had some great racing tonight. Jeez, man, that was some close racing. Hats off to Phil Temples. Won a couple of races tonight. Real good job for him and Tim Shinowski too. Both Shinowskis. My goodness.
Yeah, Tim was really hounding you. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, he sure was hounding me, and I was trying to hound JR, and JR was hounding Phil. My goodness, the four of us back and forth. That was good racing. Yeah, I'd love to come back to this track soon.
Well, I hope.
Did you enjoy it?
I absolutely, man. Certainly it's the second to longest track that you guys have ever run in the series, and I got to tell you, get a few more cars out here. This is a great track.
Yeah, I'd look forward to coming back. Hats off to Bootleg Racing League, Lawrence Towing, SPCA, Adopt a Pet, and Spay and Neuter Your Pets. There.
All right, Donnie, hey, thanks again, my friend. We'll see you next week, buddy.
Thanks a lot, Sean. And again, JR, sorry, man.
Donnie, a real class act right there to the very end. We thank him a lot, as we do every time. And yes, I agree. Make sure you get those pets spayed and neutered. Let's talk to Tim Shanowski, a man who sat back there, rode in 4th place all night, Chris, and then all of a sudden at the end, he finds himself on the podium.
Yeah, I don't think he ever was out of 4th until literally the final lap. He ran 4th the whole entire night and finished 3rd, Tim. That's what they call just a sit back and run your own race type of thing, and you put the battle on, but in the end, you still were able to get a good finish.
Yeah, I mean, it was like you guys said. I mean, I just pretty much had to sit back and wait for something to happen, because it's basically a one-groove track up on the top. I mean, I tried a couple times to go down low to try to pass Donnie, and there's no grip. So I mean, I would just end up losing a little bit of time. So just have to wait and hope for something to happen, and it did.
The racing itself there, obviously you had not much. I mean, at times your brother Matt there was behind you, but there was times where he was kind of back about a second or two. Did you feel like maybe that allowed you to be, or try to be more aggressive with the guys in front of you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the only way, I mean, if someone's right behind me, I mean, I'm not going to try to be aggressive and try to make a move on the low side. I mean, there's just too great a risk of being passed. So I mean, that first long run where that was a good time to try it, and the second long run that allowed me to try to be more aggressive, and unfortunately it didn't work, but it was still happy with this run. To get a top 3 finish I'm pretty happy with that.
That final lap, you see JR and Donnie make contact. What's your first thoughts?
Just turn the wheel hard left and hope JR doesn't come down. That's basically what I tried to do there.
And it worked out for you. You got yourself a top 3 finish, Tim, tonight. Congratulations on that, and send your shout-outs to whoever you like.
I'd just like to thank Lawrence Towing for sponsoring our modified series, and thank Lowell Jewell and Matt Hoos for running the league, and I just enjoy running this league. It's a lot of fun.
And before we let you go, Tim, Sean's got a question for you.
Yeah, Tim, will Matt, your brother Matt, will he be consolable at all after this defeat to you this evening?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure he'll be fine. He's beaten me. He's beaten me plenty of times. So I mean, I think he'll let me have this one.
Okay. I just wanted to check and see, because I mean, yeah, it's usually Matt that gets the better of you, and you get one up on him tonight. It's nice to get one in the win column, I think, for yourself there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll enjoy the bragging rights for this week.
Thanks, Tim. We'll see you next week, my friend.
All right, thanks, Sean.
Good stuff there at the old Shanowski dinner table. He'll get the king crown for this week. But Sean, what great racing we had tonight. Unfortunately, not the best turnout. And some reason, Lucas Oil Raceway, no matter what the league is, I've seen just not the best turnouts here. And unfortunately, it's a great track that deserves the good turnouts. But you see the racing it produces.
Yeah. Now listen, to be fair, we have several guys here in the Bootleg Racing League that are actively running in the real world, running race cars. I know Jacob Williams is one of them. Again, I'll give him a break. We didn't have our full complement of drivers this evening, but man, this track is just so much fun. I mean, you see it there from above, looking down from the blimp. What's not to like about that? It's a beautiful track. Variable banking, a nice, fast, high line, opportunity down below to make a move. We saw a little bit of all that tonight, and I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, it was definitely a great time, Sean. Appreciate being with you, and we're heading to Five Flags next week. Let's go to the Panhandle of Florida. What do you say?
Yes, sir. I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, and of course, should say thanks to our title sponsor, Indiana's own Lawrence Towing. Of course, they service the Indianapolis area and those neighboring communities. If you find yourself in need of a tow, Lawrence Towing is the way to go. And also Virtual Grip Network. It's a blog devoted to the news from the world of iRacing. At virtualgrip.net, you can stay up to date on what's happening in iRacing and keep up with the top World Championship Series, including the Blanc Pond GT Series, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, and also the World Championship Grand Prix Series. If you need more details, you can check out virtualgrip.net or facebook.com/virtualgrip.
All right, and thanks to the Bootleg Racing League for organizing the Lawrence Towing Outlaw Modified Series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. For more information about the BRL, find them on Facebook. You can just type in Bootleg Racing League. They'll come up, or you can go to their great website, bootlegracingleague.com. All kinds of information there, especially how to sign up. Go check that out as soon as you can.
Also, thanks to the company's equipment software that you see on the screen. Of course, we use them to broadcast the original music you've heard throughout the evening during the broadcast. Thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. You can see the screen on how to contact each of them.
All right, and for information about all GSRC events, go to globalsimracingchannel.com. We are also on Twitter at GSR Channel. And yes, you can go to Facebook, and if you just type in Global Sim Racing Channel, you'll find us there too. Now, we'll also have upcoming races for other series on the screen here, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar, or you can go back to globalsimracingchannel.com, and we got a full listing of everything that's coming up here in the month of May. Don't miss it.
And as Joe always times it out, the first race you see on the picture was the Modifieds, and where we'll be next week as Lawrence Towing Outlaw Modified Series will head to the Panhandle of Florida, the 7th race of the season, season 2, I should say, at Five Flags Speedway. You can see all the action, as always, 9:15 Saturday nights on iRacing Live and on the Global Sim Racing Channel. For Dougie Beard, Joe Peak, Sean Ambrose, about mixed two names together there, Sean. I'm Chris Scala, and race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.